Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Melvin Online Women's Boutique.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
Oh, we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131.
Tell your mama hungry, papa hungry, brother hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisines.
Open up the door, tell your mama hungry.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
It was a monumental game.
So you're a philosopher?
Yes.
This is Thoughts and Moments. Hey, it's your boy Sille Thoughts, the Prince of Petty.
And I'm Joy, also known as Joy Ride. I provide the moments to make your life better.
We're here weekly to provide the latest news, trending topics, and edutainment.
We will engage, entertain, and inform, but we keep it real and we keep it fun.
So whether you're riding in these streets or podcast surfing with your peeps, this is a show you don't want to miss.
Every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guess what? It's 5 p.m., so let's go.
Hey, it is your boy Sille Thoughts, and it is 5 o'clock on Thursday, so you know it is your favorite Thursday talk show, which is probably your favorite talk show at any time, but on Thursday, it's definitely your favorite. You're watching Thoughts and Moments right here on the Jericho Broadcasting Network. Joyride, how are you doing?
I am doing well. Ellis, good to see and hear you again. Excited for our show today. I'm sitting here. I had to represent this morning because I went to go early vote. And I want everybody to know what school I went to, especially in the area where I was going to, in Fulton County where I was going to vote. So it was actually really quick. It didn't open until 8:30, and we got there at, there goes my phone. We got there at like 8:15. So it took me 20 minutes to vote, and 15 of that was waiting for them to open, and it was done.
Did you go to Phillips Arena State Farm Arena?
No, we went to a library up in Dunwoody area, just outside the perimeter. So
okay, I know where you're at.
Yeah. So yeah, represent. Yay, Georgia votes. We're trying to get our last two sentences, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, that's exciting, and we've made our pledge to be kind of apolitical here recently because we've had enough. We had to flush some of that out. We are very, very excited to have our guest today. So Joyride, take it away.
Thank you. So today we wanted to, we talk a lot about being allies to different communities, about helping other folks who may need, voices in the room where they're not, to help somebody understand or be empathetic to their plight, or to understand the challenges that they have, whether it's Black, LGBTQ, women, transgender, et cetera, all different types of communities. And today I am so honored and so happy to have our guest today. It's Justin Mowen. He's from Houston, Texas, which is my hometown. And just real quick, the way I met Justin is one of my friends. Actually, she is a new city council member, not to bring politics back into it, but she just recently got elected to the city council of Missouri City in Houston, which is just outside of Houston. And her son lives with autism, and she shares stories. Lynn Clauser is her name. She shares stories around, the good days and the bad days, and the days that he touches her heart and the days that it's a struggle, so people understand what it's like to go through that. And Justin and I met in the comments section on one of her posts, and we started keeping in touch. And he is a self-advocate. And so often when we hear about autism or people being on the spectrum, the focus usually is on children, and we forget that there have been children that have grown up and are now fully functioning adults living independently, and what it's like for someone who has grown up with it. So Justin was nice enough to agree to be on our show today. So Justin, welcome today.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we are really, really happy to have you here. So if you wouldn't mind, could you tell people a little bit of your background, like what you do, where you're from? I already told them Houston, but anything you want people to know?
Well, basically, I was diagnosed back in 1985 at Texas Children's Hospital, which I was 3 years old at the time, and I went to schools out in the area. I mean, basically, I lived in Fort Bend County area. I was born in Houston as well, and down the line, I moved to Richmond and went to schools pretty much out in Fort Bend County, like from Conway Elementary, Hodges Bend, Garcia, and Austin High School. I finished the high school in 2001. I did have a lot of, pretty much, helped me out with like with special ed classes, to the arts, to IEP meetings, to pretty much content mastery. I had speech therapy, occupational therapy as well from when I was very young. So, and pretty much got through grade schools with those, and pretty much the rest of the time I was in math, reading, English, special ed, and science and social studies for regular ed classes. And especially finish up at high school 2001, and a transition program basically for a year with the school district. Basically, I had somebody from the school district help get with the selling the college environment basically, which did different jump from, because you're really more on your own basically, and what's like in the college environment. It's like I went to HCC first semester at Wharton County Junior College for the rest of the time. Basically, got my certification in PC technical support, which is data entry line work. And a lot, years later, went back there last year basically to get office administration, or like just get something to fill in the gap basically for I was looking for work during the time.
That's interesting. So I know we had a list of questions, but you're talking about working and data entry and being gainfully employed, and the help that you got to move from high school to HCC, for those who know, is Houston Community College, and to getting your certification. So where do you work now? Like, tell us about what you're doing.
Well, basically, I mean, another thing is too is like you got people on like high on autism spectrum. They do have more functionalities too, like especially when it comes to work wise. I mean, you can't just like have basically you can have work and all that too. Like a lot of adults want to work and all that on the autism spectrum. They want to be pretty much part of that community impact and want to get their own money and drive and go, their own goals basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I did have one job back there for 8 years of selling books at a library. And it's fine at first, but after a while, I was like, I want to do some more with my autism knowledge and what I went to school for, and just give back to the community kind of thing more, my own, way of looking at it too. So now I'm currently working at Blue Spirit, which is ABA therapy for autism.
Really?
So I've been doing a lot of meetings and with other staff members from different clinics to work on spreadsheets, upload files to to do my own data entry input. So I'm actually using what I went to college for there. And like I said, giving back and giving families hope and inspiration that their kids, grow up and go forward, on their as well. So because I know a lot of parents who, when they get their newly diagnosed kid, like that, when I was young, like 3 or so, they have no idea what to do or what to go from there, like what's resources out there and what information. Basically, I tell them, like, for example, like some of the waiver programs, like Medicaid waivers, each state has their own 10 plus years for waiting list. And I tell them, like, get them on that list as soon as possible. Because I know I was on it for 14 plus years for mine. Wow. And that is a wait. And of course, it's like all resources, like there's like art stuff you can have and help out with to all information, like from Social Security wise and as well.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't even think about that. They don't realize that there's help out there beyond just, friends and family, that there are programs and, grants and, assistance for people to take advantage of or to use to help them make those transitions, get into the life that they want for themselves. So you mentioned that you told me that you were a self-advocate.
Yeah.
So tell me, what does it mean to be a self-advocate?
Basically, it's just pretty much be able help get yourself out there more, and of course I want to put on stuff to advocate for yourself, basically just because you try to be more independent on don't have someone rely on someone else, basically, and just getting the word out. And about a lot of people on the autism spectrum, they can be able to do their own things, basically, too. And just be more part of the community and don't want to be stuck in a certain place where they don't want to be, able to move on, basically, because that's pretty much one of the things I'm doing now, especially when it comes to jobs, or be more independent, be able to do your own thing, sign off on your own papers, go places where you want to go, spend your own money, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Advocate, especially talking to police officers, I do usually, but they advocate about autism, basically. Especially the last time I talked to, they call it CIT, Crisis Intervention Team, and had people from my own workplace actually attend to that too. And it's more stuff I like to see, and other organizations like Lynn mentioned, she also does stuff with Pulper 3, which are a nonprofit that helps out family kids on autism spectrum too. And the company I work for, pretty much go out of the way and do a lot of great things too, which I'm very happy to be with too at this point too. When people see interest, and also we won't be people on autism spectrum. They like being part of that group that they actually feel like they belong in. And Pierce, where I'm working at too, I feel belong too is another thing.
It's interesting.
So one of the things you keep you mentioned, Justin, is on the spectrum. And for our audience, could you help people understand what that means when you say on the spectrum?
Basically get that diagnosed on the autism spectrum, like especially from when I was at Texas Children's, the person there actually pretty much used a pretty much fancy word, pretty much like English. He has autism, so pretty much you get that label, and so also it shows especially when you file for disability benefits or the government's waivers or whatever, so they pretty much also has that label. Basically, he's like, what's the disability kind of thing? And he's autism. Like, oh, okay. So have something down on paper on too.
Okay. And there's, my understanding is there's a lot of different ways that it shows up, or ways that it can affect people from different. And so there's some where you say that people may be struggle a lot more, maybe nonverbal, so on and so forth. And then there the other end that's like really high functioning and
yep.
May still have some challenges here and there, but if I'm not mistaken, similar to you, able to live alone, able to take care of yourself, to live a more enriched life, so to speak.
Yeah, because even where I work at, I've seen some of the people there are verbal and nonverbal, or especially when I'm back in schools, in the high school and middle school, I see more they need more help here, but it's almost like day-to-day functions too as well. For me, where I might need a little help here and there, but not like every day.
Right. Okay. And you
so when you're working with the crisis intervention team and you're talking to police officers, what information are you trying to get them to understand about being on the spectrum?
Basically, we're trying, especially tell them about how to approach to what's the behaviors like, other things, and if they're like some verbal, non-verbal, or some other stuff out there too, and especially don't try to avoid having news here on. I see in some news articles, some good, some bad, trying to weed out more of the bad, just more of the good stuff, for news-wise with the police officers and certain things like, seeing some stories like the police officer handcuffing a child in the autism spectrum, and I see that it's not going to sit too well with certain things. I know that, especially certain things that happened throughout the past year with the whole news stories here on certain stuff, and a lot of people don't, especially go on social media and all that nowadays. And pretty much when we see good stuff, and it pretty much does in a good way. It's some more smile stuff and all that too, and good things out of it too. Basically also just more education and how can we work better together as well in the community aspect. Because basically the whole CIT, like people like me, like autism advocates or like company that I work for, and what we do, but we're not going to be available 24/7 as well, and they pretty much are, especially with 911 or our situations too. They come out, they're pretty much first people to come out.
Okay.
Yeah. And see how they handle the situation better too. Yeah.
Yeah, you need them to understand what the situation could be and what to expect, so they don't react in the wrong way. We've got a clip of a video. It's not the entire thing, but we got a clip of video from when you were part of a group that was talking to the police in Houston around dealing with people on the autism spectrum and getting to know them, getting to understand how to potentially identify, things to look out for, things to have on their mind, so interactions can go better. Our producer, can you play that clip for us real quick?
Law enforcement had really amped up their efforts in terms of mental health training, mostly a result of the Sandra Bland Act in 2015.
Law enforcement officers now get at least 40 hours of de-escalation training for all types of crisis situations. Traffic expert Anavid Reyes here with a look at how a local nonprofit is taking this a step further.
Hope for Three is a local autism advocacy organization. Their program helps train police and people with autism to be prepared for a traffic stop.
Getting around on your own is a big step towards independence at any age. It's even a bigger deal for Justin Mowen, who has autism. He's in his 30s and has been driving for years. Justin commutes to work every day.
Individuals with autism look just like you or I do. So you don't know that there's any differences or challenges.
Except when it comes to a traffic stop.
A lot of us really don't know about what could happen first, especially until the police officer tells you.
But what we think is so important is to make the officer aware. It's very common for an individual with autism to maybe not look at you, to look off.
A police officer who's not trained to notice these signs could interpret the behavior as disrespectful.
This just happened to me last week. He said, I pulled a gentleman over, and he said he pretty well, followed, but I was a little suspicious. But he said, I turned around to walk to my car, and he's just banging his head on his steering wheel.
Experts say routine comes naturally to those with autism and makes them comfortable. A traffic stop is not part of a driver's routine. Hope for Three has a traffic stop program aimed at helping officers better understand those with autism. Once a month, officers meet with drivers on the autism spectrum to show their police cars, turn on their sirens, and get to know one another. Officer Ellis Williams has a son with Down syndrome. He understands the importance of having these tools.
That needs to be part of police training, period. Let's always expose young officers. Let's expose seasoned officers to something that we've never seen before.
You know, Justin actually presents at these workshops. He served as a volunteer with Hope for Three since the inception. Hope for Three has partnered with the Missouri City and Rosenberg Police Departments and wants to expand. Owen and Lisa.
Nice to see that effort. Anavid, thank you for that.
Awesome. Well,
he's a star.
Right? We got a bona fide celebrity on our show. That's awesome.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I love the message there of, let's share, get to know each other, share what to expect when you get stopped by the police, and also share with the police what to expect when they encounter someone who's on the autism spectrum. So, the things that, because I know for a fact, if you are talking to an officer, they expect you to look them in the eye, to answer quickly, and if you pause or if you look away, they can misinterpret. So it's great to share that with them. You're saving lives, to be honest.
Yeah, especially one of the stories, I know, especially one of the police officers, people I know, somebody who I know, Caroline, she had her kids, like wander, especially it has the whole thing to do with water. And I think it was raining at the time, and the police officers showed up and pretty much they pretty much told her, about the kid, that make sure the kids are safe and all. They didn't. They told her they'd been through CIT training and they didn't shame her or nothing. Where they pretty much understand the whole situation and they hugged her, appreciate, and they left.
Interesting.
So like I said, the whole CIT training has pretty much been really helpful and all that. And I think one of the other times I went to do a presentation at like a school or whatever, the police officer actually recognized me from the CIT. So it's like, okay, so pretty much the program basically going on. Especially impact the police officers, and I guess especially giving the tools to help deal with the situations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it's important for them to experience you, Justin, because even though you're higher on the spectrum in terms of being more independent, I think you can speak for everybody that's on the spectrum and give police some context so they don't always assume that someone is being disrespectful or might be trying to hide something when they just could be on the spectrum, and they have to consider that when they're thinking about interacting with somebody at a traffic stop. And so that's got to be part of their consideration, and can't assume that everyone is a criminal. So we definitely understand that on this show.
Right. Especially if they have a tendency to maybe react badly or act out. Like the one lady, she said that one of the guys that got stopped was banging his head on the steering wheel. A police officer, if they have no exposure to people on the spectrum, they may think it's drug use. They may think that the person is getting violent and is a danger, and it's none of that. It's just a misunderstanding, and being aware of that possibility. Again, like I'm saying, you really are. It really is saving lives. It really is.
Especially, Darla's the one who's talking on there. The Hope for Three about the one person banging head on. I mean, I pretty much know her for quite some time. We're pretty much BFFs. She's the one that runs the whole organization.
So Hope for Three. I know that right now you work for, what's the company you work for? It's not Mind Spring.
Blue Spring.
Blue Spring. So tell me about, I know you work for Blue Spring now, but what is it like to work with Hope for Three?
We're a good organization. I mean, they do a lot of events and activities and a lot of stuff in the community. I mean, especially the whole, like one of the events, of course, I love they do is like a strikeout for autism. And like it usually happens in April, and Autism Awareness Month. They have like the skier team play, the baseball play, the elected officials and the city mayors and county judge read proclamation or April Autism Awareness Month. They have police officers there. So pretty much it's a nice event and activity. I usually even treat my parents to that event like for every year to I come sit in the VIP section and watch the game as well.
Awesome. That's cool. One other thing that I wanted to talk to, I mentioned earlier that a lot of people are, I guess, more expecting of people on the autism spectrum to be younger. We're used to hearing about and seeing children, youngsters, high school and lower, but there are so many millions of adults that are living and functioning with autism that you don't hear about. Like, what are some things that people misunderstand or don't think about when it comes to being an adult living on the spectrum?
because it's because autism doesn't go away or anything. It's pretty much there for the rest of your life, basically, and just how the, especially certain situations, like when I was young, I mean, it's different compared to when I'm older now. The way too, on the everyday situations, especially being more independent compared to when I was younger, it's someone's there to help out the situations more often. Like for me, it's like when I get older.
This is Ellis. You try to reach me.
Ellis, you are not on mute, sir.
And especially trying to be more on the doing stuff on your own, and like I said, live more independent, doing your own activities and events and or stuff to do wise, a day basically. So it's gonna be having the resource still available to you in a way, still with certain things and all that too. Like because especially having someone on autism spectrum, money it's high, really high on the, especially all the stuff for everything wise, for especially when it has to do when you're young. I get all these therapies and things you have to do when you can be able to be part of society and as well, and doing everyday activities.
But when you're an adult, it's not as much or not the same, right?
I mean, it's like things I still have here and there I do, as well, like where it's like doctor's appointments or other stuff I have to do at times too. I mean, especially with some of the programs I'm on, because every once in a while they have to, yearly when you're on the when you get approved for waivers kind of thing. For example, you have some people from the organization or disability aging services like that, where come out every now and then, check out your situations, like with smoke detector, fire extinguishers, the water temperature, things like those. The animals are gotten their shots and all those kind of things.
Okay. One of the other articles, and we're going to share all of these articles. We're going to share the videos and the articles that you sent me. But one of them was around living independently and interior design. I didn't get a chance to read it before we came on the show, but the gist of it was basically that you can have the way your space is designed, where you live, can have an effect on you.
Yes, just having your own space, which is great too. Like room design to when you do stuff like that on a day basis, sleeping arrangements, everything else. Like brush your teeth to mouth wall, all those, showers, those kind of things too.
Okay. So the place that you live now. The place you live now was designed for you, or designed with your needs in mind?
I mean, basically, it was just way I have my room set up and all that too. It's where it's comfortable and all that too, especially the place where you can sleep and everything, and just to get dressed and all that stuff to do. Like for me, rooming up and getting cleaned up and ready for it appears a day wise.
Interesting.
So just what are those things what things you like to do when you're not working or you're not being an advocate? What are some things you like to do?
Here's just to play games, watch TV, do some hang around friends, things like those, just on a day-to-day basis. But with COVID, sometimes it can be a lot for everybody. It's pretty much been a big impact on everybody, including me wise. Everybody got hit by one way or another. Like for me, it's having to change up certain things, like from my work environment. And of course, the whole thing for me at this point was the events and activities. So it's pretty much been put off and all that. And a lot, of course, stuff's been going virtual as well.
And how is that been for you, like trying to switch over to virtual from a routine standpoint? Like, how has it been to have this year be so different?
I mean, it's been it affected everybody one way or another. It's especially certain things I've been taking more extra caution to make sure I don't get COVID and all that too.
Yeah,
a lot of other people like wearing face masks, which can be for a lot of people a little uncomfortable, and having hand sanitize and everything, and make sure I don't, especially when not touching like your eyes, nose, your mouth area, like the T-zone, they can call it, your face wise, because that's where the virus can get in, kind of thing. If you touch something or whatever times, or especially if you're talking face to face with people, and make sure people have their face mask on or whatever, and keep social distance as well, like 6 feet.
Exactly.
I know it's like extra steps basically added on to your day-to-day activity.
Good point.
It's frustrating for everybody, I promise you.
So we mentioned Hope for Three before. Now I'm going to talk about Blue Spring. That's where you work now, right?
Blue Spring, yeah.
And you say you do data entry for them.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah,
what is Blue Spring as a company?
I'm a clinical support administrator. What was it? Sorry.
What is Blue Spring as a company? Like, what do they do as a whole?
They do an ABA therapy for pretty much on the people on the autism spectrum, like we're pretty much working on like motor skills to development and pretty much getting ready for the school system, basically, like, make sure, pretty much like work with the kids, pretty much one-on-one basically on what the parents set up, basically what they think they need for help with the kids, basically, and then pretty much group for for down the line for be more a part of community, basically. Even I did the RBT training myself, and before I came clinical support administrator, it was a lot. Basically, like from DTT, which is discrete trial training, AT, natural environment training, ethics codes, to the chaining, to prompts. There's a lot, hands-on trainings. It's like pretty much you do the watching videos and answering questions, basically, on a lot of stuff. And basically, when you're working a kid, you pretty much collect data on it and send it off to, especially where it goes to the company, the insurance, to the parents,
Okay. And I think that's great because a lot of people, I heard you say earlier that you are using the degrees and the certification that you got to work to help other people. And I know so many folks who go to school and they get a degree or a certification and then they don't use it because they want to do something else. So they change.
Are you talking about me, Joy?
It's like how much money did my family throw away on my college courses? I'm dumb. So that's one of the things that was grinding me away too, because it's just how much money we spent on college, basically, for classes.
It's like that. Like, we spent all this money and you're not even going there. But I like that you're using the skills that you learned to help other people and to do something that is so important to you personally. A lot of people don't even get that kind of fulfillment and purpose in their job. So I commend you for that and for doing the work that you're doing. One question that I wanted to ask is, another, because I'm asking a lot of questions. This one is, what are some of the things that people do that annoy you, that you wish they wouldn't do, or you wish they would know better, or know not to do?
Basically, that's a good question. It's just basically, just to be able to have people, understand where you're coming from at times, because pretty much for me, sometimes I get where they're coming from too, and some just don't give you like the time of day or anything or something like that, or maybe extra step, and sometimes they just go out of your way kind of thing, or they just don't put the effort in, or at times, a lot of people I know they do go the extra mile on what you want to do, but there's like some who really don't, or they just do their basic everyday things and just like, just put it off or something like that, basically.
Okay, and I really I can identify with that, or at least I can relate to that, about just wanting people to, like you said, know where you come from and to see you as a human being just like everybody else. The same thing that LGBTQ people want, same thing that Black people want, same thing that everybody wants, is just see me for who I am and accept me for who I am. And I think even other people who may have a different struggle sometimes miss this type of thing. Ellis, you're nodding your head, like, sometimes we forget that other people have a different challenges, and we need to be just as empathetic there,
Yeah, because even when I was younger, I pretty much, I didn't give a second thought to, but because I was still learning everything as well. I was probably like a kid, teenager, and adult, when I was younger. But now I'm, pretty much older, and the old saying, the older you get, the wiser you are, basically.
Yeah.
So, because, I didn't give it a second thought when I was younger, but now I'm like okay, so now I'm getting it now where everything's coming from now. It's adding 2 + 2 = 4 thing. That's pretty much what I'm looking at now. I was like, okay, I'm getting that person's story and basically my story. And okay, so now we're coming basically certain things, like especially when I'm doing some of the stuff in my workplace where like help doing certain things with like when I turn my forms to like almost like where my provider is kind of thing, and pretty much I'm wondering if they're gonna actually make sure they don't have to throw it back at me like, oh, you forgot to do this and this, and then basically with my workplace it's pretty much like, oh yeah, I'm helping do certain things too, and I'm like, okay, this person got this done right, and I'm like telling people I work with, like if they have to fill us out again, I think they're not gonna be a happy camper. So I'm like, I get that. So I figured to try to relate.
Right. You know what they're going through. You know how they feel. Yeah, I get that. Ellis, you were about to ask a question.
No, I was just about to kind of more of a statement that I think, when you were talking about how when you were younger you didn't think about it, or people didn't think about it. I'm the same way. When I knew somebody that was autistic when I was in high school, but didn't do a lot of interacting and didn't know a lot about it, and then got older and my friends started having children, and then I have some friends that have autistic children, and then I learned more about it through them and through their interactions and them sharing their stories. And so it became, and to start working in the space of counseling and things like that. So I started learning more and more about it, and I think it's important for people to hear these stories, whether they interact with somebody that's on the spectrum every day or not. But it just gives people context and some empathy when they're kind of complaining about their lives and the challenges that they face in their lives, and they realize that they're people that have more challenges to overcome, and to see how well you're doing it, Justin, is an inspiration to me and to anybody else that's watching this program, to know that you're out there working hard every day, not only handling your own life independently, but you're helping others do better. And so I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing.
And especially when I was growing up too, when I was young, the autism diagnosis rate was very, more not as common compared to nowadays. Back then, I think it's like 1 out of a million when I was very young. And as years progressed, the number kept shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, and all that. And pretty much over time, it's pretty much now, it's like 1 out of 41. It's basically someone out there is going to know somebody basically that's going to have that diagnosed. So over time, and so that's, and especially for me, it's like pretty much the field is just going the field where I'm at now. It's like pretty much like a 24/7 thing at this point in my life. Basically, there's going to be something going on with something on that autism. Somebody talking to somebody who's going to have somebody knows something going on too on that aspect.
Right. I think I hear people say, that we didn't have a definition for it, at least not one that the average person knew. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it wasn't understood. And I, to your point about it being like, 1 in a million, it wasn't diagnosed unless it was severe, like 30, 40 years ago. And now people understand the nuances of it. They understand, again, even the phrase spectrum wasn't a phrase that people used like 20 years ago. They try to put them all as different isolated things. This is this and this and that, but it shows up in so many various ways. It's almost like a fingerprint. Everyone can experience it. Everyone that is on the spectrum, it is just like a rainbow, just like a wave. Like it could be any little thing along there. And so more people are getting help because more people are getting properly diagnosed. And it's not a rise in the rates of people being born with autism. It's a rise in people being properly diagnosed. It's been around for a long time.
Especially things nowadays too, that whole thing diagnosed. Some people are waiting months or whatever to get that diagnosed. That's the thing too. The doctor's office or some specialist kind of thing for appointment just to get that.
Wow.
That's the other thing I think we're running into right now too. That's like, so that's one of the things I'm learning, especially people like, the news or others. There's like people I know, who have someone who's on the autism spectrum, even it's like from areas like where it's the Houston Chronicle or like the news segment saw Channel 2.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's important to, that's why I was so excited to have you on our show today, and so excited to talk to you, because I want to make sure that people can hear, what it's like, what it takes, what can be done, what's available for help. And so I think the last question I want to ask you for today, first off, like, what resources do you want people to know about? And if people want to learn more about autism, about living with autism, about being an advocate, or being a supporter, like, what websites do you recommend? Like, what can they do? What can they do to help?
Basically, my thing is, like, if you get the newly diagnosed, I usually like to tell people, I get them those Medicaid waiver programs. No matter which state you're in, there's gonna be a 10+ year waiting list. No matter which way you look at it. I mean, I've been hearing from people in my company I work for from different states. They pretty much got the same thing. It's not just Texas. It's not just which state you are in, and it's pretty much all of 50 states. No matter which way you look at it, there's gonna be some kind of waiting list. But probably bottom line, you'll be looking at 10+ easy.
That's good to know, because you may think, well, I'll go and get help, or if you wait to apply, you're going to be even further down that waiting list.
Yeah,
so
because
you
they go by the state number and the local number, and they usually check every year with you if you're still interested. You pretty much just say yes, basically.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Or a letter or something like that.
And so it takes a while just to even get the help that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to get started early, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What about you mentioned like Hope for Three? Do you know Hope for Three's website? Because we can always add it to our list here so everybody can go.
Hope3.org.
Oh, it's just Hope. Is it Hope?
Hope
for Three. Like FOR?
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, my workplace website, bluespringautism.com.
Bluespringautism.com.
SPRIG, autism. The color blue and sprig and then autism.
Okay. Bluespringautism.com. Okay. I'm hoping my producer will catch that and type that into the chat so everybody knows. Bluespringautism.com and hopefor3.org. The two places that you can go to get more information, to get some support, to find out what resources are available, and to sign up and volunteer if you want to help. I'm sure they have ways to volunteer, to donate to the cause, etc., because this is another way that we can support each other as human beings, to help each other, to be seen, to be understood. And, everybody that watches my show, y'all know that's my big thing. I want everyone to be treated as a human being.
Or if it's a nonprofit, a business, or or any other agencies out there willing to work together, I think things go a lot easier and quickly for getting those resources that they need to help be able to keep things moving forward, going forward.
Awesome.
Because I know
so help us keep it going forward, everybody.
Make it easier for everybody, too, in a way.
So you have a guest behind you. Is that your dog?
Yeah. One of my dogs. Yeah.
So how do you find taking care of a pet? Like, I know that I have a lot of friends that have support animals, and does he or she serve that role for you, or is it just a pet because you just want one?
Well, it's just it's, of course my mom's pets, but they pretty much our family, and just doing pretty much here every day. It's pretty much another thing, like I mentioned earlier, with the animals too, like the shots, and just to have them there as a comfort, and just something that also like pass time through this whole COVID thing too. I mean, I know a lot of people during the shutdown, I think, were getting animals from animal shelters and all that.
You know what? You're right. I have a lot of people on my Facebook timeline that have gotten new puppies, new kittens, just to have, because they like pets, but also it does give you a roommate, a friend, someone else to be in the house while we're all stuck at home for this whole time. Hopefully we won't be stuck at home for too much longer.
Yeah, I think that especially vaccines going out, and hopefully, this whole thing will be nothing but a bad memory for everybody.
Yes. Yes, 2020 can be over, and then we'll be on to a better year next year.
I mean, especially I like to see certain things going again too myself. I mean, I know, Houston's trying to get the rodeo going again because what happened last year, they had to pull the plug on Milvett, which was not good on a lot of people wise.
Mm-hmm. I have a lot of friends that are involved with the rodeo, and they were so heartbroken that they had to abandon, their plans to work there, to be there. Some of them were going to be. One guy I know used to be one of the auctioneers, and he was so hurt that he couldn't do it this year because of what happened. But we're gonna wrap up. So I want to just make sure I give you a chance to say anything you want people to know, anything you want them to do, or we already shared the websites. Anything else that you'd like to share with our audience today?
And just mentioned before, just to make sure when you get the diagnosis, get them on the waivers and be very supportive for your family and your kids, and try not to look for the whole reason what caused it, but just be supportive and helpful when you get those newly diagnosed and get them on, get them on the waivers. Better, the sooner the better. And so that's pretty much what I look at it as.
Okay. So you guys heard that. Get as soon as you get the diagnosis, get the waivers as soon as you can. Don't worry about how it happened. Just be there and be supportive, and do what you can to help. And the wait list in most states is 10 years minimum. 10 years. So do not hesitate.
It's also it's about like somebody state that if they have the fundings and especially right now, one of the things right now, especially Texas right now, is the one of the things that there's about 70,000 people in the state and that need ABA therapy, and a lot of the families have Medicaid, and right now the whole thing that is still, and there's been a little battle on that one, trying to get the funding for resource for, because they need it's pretty much like the gold standard basically on the whole ABA thing. I know parents want to send their kids have an ABA, but the problem is they don't have the insurance is not covering it because the Medicaid haven't gotten that point yet.
Yeah, you make a really good point. Like
a new segment too
is a struggle. Yeah, I
even talked to my representative about getting an update on it, and they did send that out. And I mean, that's another thing about advocacy too. Is like, actually, I've been talking to my representative time about certain things and trying to see where we're sitting at, like especially the ABA thing, and he actually forward me the information from what's going on in the legislative session right now.
Awesome. Awesome.
That's a true advocate. That's a true advocate. You're working on the personal side and helping people become more independent, giving them the information that they need to get the assistance, whether it's financial or otherwise. And then you're working on the legislative side to make sure that the legislature pays attention to what's going on, what changes they're making to the ADA, what additions, things like that, and lobbying basically on behalf of people on the spectrum. So you are really, truly an advocate for on all fronts.
And it's not just for me, but it's for a lot of people who, because I know from my journey wise, especially the resources was very minimal at the time when I was growing up, where it's because I didn't have ABA when I had a therapist basically when I was young, and like I said, speech therapy, outpatient therapy from the schools, and I had one therapist who working on me, but of course my mom didn't like that person too, because she had a rubber band on my arm about misbehaving and pull it snap basically, and as soon as that was going on, my mom gave her the boot pretty much basically.
Yeah, I should hope so. Yeah.
So basically, not just for me, but for a lot of people, I'm trying to make it, like I said, the easier journey, and especially where I can help myself in a way too on going forward, and especially when I'm going to be at a certain age where probably won't be able to get involved, but probably later down the road too, because especially my parents, not everybody, my parents are not going to be around forever, so that's the other thing too, because I'm trying to make sure where I be able to be able to have a good standard too, going forward, especially when they're gone, it's the other thing I kind of look at too in the long run.
Yeah, and make sure that they don't have to worry, like if and when they are gone, that you're going to be self-sufficient, you're going to take care of yourself, everything is going to be fine. So but to your point, you got to start setting that up early. So again, for everyone that may have a child with a diagnosis, or you have not had them tested yet and you may suspect, get them tested, get the diagnosis, get on that list if you need to for the Medicare, Medicaid waivers, get them into therapy, and they got a better chance for being independent later on in life.
To that point, I think that advocates like Justin have done such a great job in terms of even on the medical side, that they're being able to identify even shortly after birth, where if a child may or may not be on the spectrum, because there's that APGAR score that happens, and then there's some markers that they can see, that medical professionals can see early on, that they weren't noticing before because they weren't getting that training and getting that information in medical school. But for people like Justin and speaking out and getting to the pediatricians and obstetricians, particularly obstetricians, that we've been able to identify earlier, and the earlier that you can identify, the quicker you can start getting into services and getting the assistance that you need.
And the other thing too, before we go, is I know when they get to a certain age, when their school systems, I know parents sometimes have a struggle of the ARDs and IEPs. I mean, there's people like that who are advocates, and if you haven't a kid that's going from doing ABA, that you can have like a BCBA, which is board certified behavior analyst, attend your R's as well. And the parents have got to be the ones who make sure you get things in writing, to know what the kids need. I mean, over time, when I got to Lacard Middle School, high school, I was able to send my R's and IEP, because one thing is like, what classes do I want to take in high school, middle school, like what electives and all that. For example.
I think that's Ellis. You had something to add? Okay.
I was just saying, I was just agreeing with him. Yeah, saying absolutely. The stigma is the good news is that the stigma is wearing off.
Yeah.
And so people are more open and receptive, and really being educated about what's going on in terms of people being on the spectrum. And so I'm hoping that trend continues. So that people can treat everybody equally, regardless of where they are on the spectrum.
Right. It's unfortunately one of the flaws of human nature is people either fear or mock what they do not understand. And so I love the work that you're doing, Justin, to help people be understood and to help more people learn about something that they may not have day-to-day interaction with, and also understand that they probably do, and that there are a lot more people living on the autistic spectrum than they may have originally expected. And it's if I want to be a good human being, I need to be able to treat other people like human beings. And that means everyone, regardless of how we show up every day. And I think the work that you're doing is crucial and so good. And I'm so happy to have had you on our show today. I really do appreciate you taking this time to talk to us. And once again, so the two websites that we talked about, one of them was hopefor3.org, and the other was bluesprigautism.com.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. But shout out to Franny for putting the bluesprigautism.com and hopefor3.org. Shout out to Franny. Freddie Oxford. Is that a friend of yours, Justin? Freddie Oxford?
Franny's one of them, and Alan, who I don't know if he's on there or not, but Franny is one of the people I work with.
Cool. Well, welcome to the show, Franny.
So shout out to Gerald Williams, one of our show regulars. He said he's dealing with this right now with his son, his youngest son, and so it touches all areas, all people.
I'm also people can ask questions to me, and feel free. That's pretty much what I do too. Is that the Q&A.
Yeah. So if there's any Q&A, who's watching the chat? Can you see them, Ellis?
I see the chat. Yeah.
Okay. So we still have a few minutes left. Any questions for our guest, for Justin?
There's more. Everything that's in the chat is more support of Justin. Justin, are you going to be embarrassed if I start reading some of these things that people are saying?
I've been seeing on the screen.
Justin, you rock. Huge asset to Bluesprig and the autism community. He's a great role model for anyone who wants to self-advocate. So these aren't questions. These are people that are a great show. I'm dealing with this with my youngest son. Justin is inspirational. So, Justin, I hope we're not embarrassing you too much, but yeah, absolutely. No. You are definitely an inspiration for many people, especially parents that are, newly dealing with and having a child on the spectrum, and all of the things that come to their mind that they don't know. And I think you summed it up perfectly by saying, don't worry about how it happened. It's time to deal with it. And I think too much parents get caught up in, how did this happen? And that doesn't help the child. It does something for the child.
Or anything for autism and all that, pretty much.
Right. Absolutely. I think that was.
And the whole thing about diagnosis, where it comes from, it's still the unknown. Like how you get it, it's still a big question mark for everybody. Maybe not the researchers and out there, all the people, CDC and everything else, they don't know.
They don't, and I think it's an interesting topic, but it doesn't help the people that are struggling with it right now. Let's get them the help they need. Let's get them the understanding, the visibility that they need, while we in the background still can research, what causes it. But let's work on helping people now. Yeah.
Like what's in front of you now is what needs to be more focused on, and
right.
Where people researching out there know how to do it, let them do that.
Right. Leave that to them, and we need to worry about physical therapy and resources and organizations that can help you right now. So hopefully everybody's gotten something that, as we continue with our new format of our show, especially when we have a really good guest like this, we forget to show our commercials and forget to take a break. And we have forgotten to do it again today, because I really enjoyed this conversation. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Stick around for our sponsors. We have some new sponsors. Yes. That you guys can see after we break in a minute. But I just want to say, in closing, Justin, it has been a pleasure talking to you. It has been an honor. I am so happy that you decided to be on our show today. This is our last live show of the year. And what a way to go out.
Yeah, for 2020.
So, thank you.
Absolutely, Justin. Again, you're an inspiration. I'm going to echo what people are saying in the chat room, is that you are an inspiration. I applaud what you're doing, because not many people do that. Not many people that aren't on the spectrum do what you're doing and step out and put themselves stand in the gap for other people. And so I commend you for doing that. And anything that you need from us, reach out. We're email and a text message away, and we'll be there for you.
Yeah, the last I don't know if that last person had said something about a question or about a comment. I mean,
okay. Gerald says, I made the mistake of asking why as well as trying to bypass it. Many emotions, but I had to come to grips and get my boy the help that he needs. And that's from Gerald Williams.
Okay, I was only it wasn't a question.
No, it wasn't a question, but he's really echoing what you're saying in terms of for parents, you've got to let go of the why and focus on the how to get them help.
Yeah. So I just want to say, so for everyone out there watching, if you know anybody that needs to hear this information, that may have missed the show, especially like our folks out on the West Coast, still at work or whatever, and they didn't catch it, repost this show, repost this interview, so everyone can see this, as many people as you can. I would take it as a personal favor if you would repost this to your page to let people know about this. Okay.
You know somebody, and you know of somebody that has it. One of my best friends, and it really touched him, because it was his only son, and he was an athlete and was preparing to, and he sees what my son was doing, and he wanted to be that same kind of dad, and just he doesn't have that experience to have, and so we support him as much as we can.
The other thing is too, especially people on the autism spectrum, they might not have a potential for certain areas, but they excel at certain areas. I got people, and I know one person knows every make model of the elevators, to someone know about fast mouth trains, so they'll probably have a good future in those certain career aspects, like wherever you working at elevators, or you're working at a train station kind of thing, certain companies like those, they'll be a really great asset for them when down the line,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's the thing, is playing to your strengths, just like anybody else. You know, what are you good at? And then find your niche, find where you fit in, you know?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, everybody. So stick around for our commercials, but we're gonna say good night and happy holidays.
That doesn't work, Joy. You can't tell people to wait for the commercials after the show.
Yes, I can. They're gonna stick around. I promise you, stick around. But I just want to tell everybody, happy holidays. So glad you guys stuck around with us today. I thought it was an important enough show not to take a break. I wanted to keep the conversation going. Yeah. And I just hope we'll see you all at the beginning of the year. We're going to replay this show again next Thursday, 5 p.m. It'll be Christmas Eve. Next Thursday, 5 p.m. We're going to replay this show in our normal slot. You can also catch it again, I think, Saturday morning. If you download our app, MyJBN1 off the App Store, you can see the show and share it with everyone else. It'll be on the JBN, the Jericho Broadcasting YouTube channel as well. So find it, share it, get the message out. This is important. The work that Justin is doing is important. And again, I'm just glad he was here today. So,
Merry Christmas to everybody here live. This is the last time I'm going to say this live, so you'll see this again next week. But Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Do the 3 W's, wear a mask, wash your hands, watch your distance. Keep a close eye on what's going on with the vaccines that are going out. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm just saying make sure that whatever decision you make an informed decision. If you want to go to, I'll be producing blackdoctor.org on our Facebook page tonight, 7 p.m. We've got a host of who's who amongst medicine, including Valerie Nunes-Smith, who is Biden's COVID task force, and she'll be talking about how they plan to distribute the vaccines now that they're coming out. And so we're really going to be talking about how they're going to get the vaccine to our community. And so that's a really interesting conversation, a really good conversation to have. So 7 p.m. tonight on blackdoctor.org. So sorry for the shameless plug for work. But,
the first commercial was that one. But I also think that so Justin's also sent me a series of like articles and other videos and stuff that he's been featured in. So expect some more material over the next few days on the Thoughts and Moments page. So be sure to like the page so you can get copies of it. It also have more resources and stuff. So stick with us, okay?
Well, thank you for having me on.
It was our pleasure. All right. Good night, everybody.
Night.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook,